Tonight I have the honor of introducing John Sachse as our keynote speaker. John is a dedicated Christian husband and father, a fourth-generation Kansas rancher, officer in the Kansas Army National Guard. As a men's resiliency coach and endurance athlete, he has witnessed the detrimental impact of stress on our lives. Through his coaching business, Ranch Fit, John empowers individuals to develop strategies that manage stress and align their lives with their true purpose. He provides essential tools and fosters a supportive community, helping clients overcome challenges and achieve their desired life goals. Moreover, John hosts an annual 5K, 10K, and 20K ruck at his family's cattle ranch each December. This event enables participants to push their physical limits and strive to become the best version of themselves. Sounds a lot like Teddy Roosevelt and what he did out in the Badlands. A proud alumnus of Kansas State University, John holds a bachelor's degree in animal science and a master's degree in agribusiness. He and his wife Kinsley and their two wonderful boys manage the cow herd on their family's ranch near Leavenworth, Kansas. John and his family truly embrace a life deeply connected, not just to each other, but also to their roots and built on serving others. So without further ado, join me in welcoming John to the stage.
So my name's John Sachse. I have a new innovative way to meet all of you at the same time. I created it myself. It's a brand new, haven't shared it with anybody, patent pending way to introduce, or for each of you to introduce yourself to me. So on the count of 3, I want all of you to shout out, "Hello, I'm," and your name. So 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Nice to meet all of you. Now we're all friends. Well, guys, so honored and privileged to be here with you tonight. First time interacting with your group, but hands down, this is the most entertaining and engaging crowd that I think I've interacted with. So hats off to you, the ACC exec team. You guys are doing some awesome stuff. This will be fun tonight. So we're going to talk tonight about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's stress. I carry a lot of stress with just all the daily activities that I have going on. Who here, show of hands, has some sort of stress in their life? Yeah, everybody. Okay, so keep your hand up if you have multiple stresses and maybe don't know how to navigate them and you feel like you're just kind of stuck in them. Yeah, about half the group. Yeah. Actually, a lot of hands went down. So you guys in the back that put your hands down, you guys should be giving this talk probably. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of stress tonight, but how do you develop a resilient mindset to overcome and kind of push beyond those stresses that we have in our everyday lives? I don't think there's anything that we can do to fully eliminate stress, but we can certainly kind of reframe the perspective in which we see those stresses hitting us in our everyday lives. Forgot to grab the clicker. It is stressful. For a split moment, I thought, where's the clicker? So I want to take you back, share a story with you here on the front end. So it was the summer of 2019, and I was sitting in the truck with my wife on a sunny summer afternoon. A lot of S's there. But I remember the conversation vividly. I had just informed my wife that I had kind of a tug, a calling on my heart to join the United States military. Now, up until this point, my wife and I had been married just a couple years, 2-3 years at this point. 3, actually. Our anniversary was recently, so I should know that. But I remember the conversation well. Who here has had a conversation with, a coworker, a family member, a friend, and going in, you felt really prepared for that conversation? You thought, this conversation is going to be up here, and then it kind of quickly takes a nosedive. Has anybody had that conversation before? Yeah, and the conversation's like down here. Yeah, so me joining the military was not on the radar in our marriage. It was nothing I had ever shared with my wife. We had never talked about it, and so I kind of out of the clear blue, I felt just kind of this calling on my heart to join. So after a lot of prayer, after a lot of discernment, after a lot of hard conversations, we decided that I needed to answer the call and join the United States military, and specifically the Kansas Army National Guard, which is just kind of a component of the U.S. Army. And so I took the oath in September 2019 and then left for basic training right around Halloween of 2019. And this is a photo that a friendly stranger took at the Kansas City airport as I departed for basic training. And I put this picture up here because from the outside looking in, we look like a happily married couple. And we were. I should preface that. My wife is here, so I should indicate that we were very happily married. There's smiles and stuff. But what you can't tell is on the inside, both of us, we were scared, we were nervous, we were worried, we were stressed. We had no idea what basic training and joining the military was going to do to each of us, to our marriage, to our families. My oldest son was just a little boy, hadn't started walking yet, so I was going to be leaving at a time where maybe I'm going to miss his first steps. And so we didn't know how the military would affect our lives and our marriage. You see a lot of movies growing up, especially as a boy. I grew up kind of idolizing the military. But you see how awful basic training is and kind of some military experiences. So we knew it would be a tough time. And so over the 4 months that basic training is, it was like no stress I've ever had in my life before. As soon as you step off the bus, we got there at midnight in Fort Jackson, Columbia, South Carolina. And we got there about 11:30, probably midnight, and just started our day. No sleep. Everything that you have here in the civilian world is stripped of you. No frills, all the extras that we have here on the civilian world that we can all be thankful for, it's taken from you. No coffee. I love coffee. So no coffee, no TV, no phones. You are stripped to the most basic form of civilization, if I could talk. And so over those 4 months, I had all these stresses hitting me each and every day. And the drill sergeants just kind of have this stranglehold on you like nothing that you can ever experience probably elsewhere. And I saw individuals at their lowest points of their life. I myself was at kind of some of the lowest points that I've ever had in my life. But I began to realize, hey, each and every day we're all struggling with the same things. We're all getting yelled at. There was what's called smoke sessions where they'd wake you up at 3 in the morning just to do push-ups on the floor. How productive is that? But just that added stress, that kind of iron hold, they had you from the get-go. And so what I realized was if I could wake up each and every day, I can't eliminate the stresses, the things that are coming my way, but I can kind of flip the script and reframe the things coming to me and view each day as a new day and just worry about one day at a time. How important is that for us in our everyday lives? Who here has multiple irons in their fire? You might be college students, you might be working, you might be husbands, wives, you might have your own kids. We all have a lot going on. But if you can wake up each and every day and kind of reframe the stresses, the things, the obstacles that you have, reframe those as opportunities to learn and grow from, those challenges, it just allows you to view everything and how you navigate your day that much more effectively. So I'm huge on talking about your why. Simon Sinek, huge in personal development. He talks about identifying your why, which is so key. But you have to know the direction in which you're headed. You've got to know at a deep level, what are your core values, your core beliefs, what are the core things that drive you? And it makes navigating those stresses so much easier. They mentioned, Chris mentioned kind of a long list of things that I have going on. Every day is a little bit different, which I love that opportunity, but it's also stressful. But what helps me is first and foremost, I wake up every day as a follower of Christ. So I'm a Christian, and every day I wake up with an attitude towards service and adding value to at least one person every single day. That's all I care about. One person. If I can make an impact on one person today, if you look at 365 days, I've impacted 365 people. So everything that I do None of those things define me, whether I'm a rancher, an officer, a husband, father. Those things don't define me. They're just the tools and the levers in which I can pull to help serve kind of my higher purpose. So kind of food for thought as you guys navigate. A lot of you are in college, maybe early career. Identify at a core level, what are those core values that impact you greatly, and what is your why, and have everything funnel into that. So I'll give you about 30 seconds here, but what are your current stresses that are weighing you down? And for right now, it's just a rhetorical question, but for 30 seconds, I want each one of you to close your eyes and paint kind of a clear picture, a vivid picture of a stress or two that you're going through. It could be in your personal life, your business life, whatever it is, your college career. What is a stress that's currently weighing you down? All right, now that you've got that, hopefully you guys were doing that and not just napping. I know we've had some alcohol, we've had some ice cream, and whew, the two of those things. So hold on to those things, and as I'm huge on providing some tactical, tangible kind of tools, that was something that I want to make sure that I leave you guys with before I close tonight. But think about those stresses in your life. Think about how you might apply the things that I share with you here in a little bit to your current stresses. So when I talk about stress and resiliency as a tool to kind of move beyond those stresses and obstacles and challenges that you face, I like to utilize the analogy of a tennis ball and an egg. When I do resiliency classes to my soldiers at my guard unit, I like to do this kind of scenario where imagine you were to get up on top of your home, or say this lodge, and you had an egg with you. So the egg from the outside looking in looks perfect. It's perfectly, I guess not round, symmetrical, whatever the word is. It looks perfect. No blemishes, no flaws. It looks perfect from the outside looking in. That egg represents somebody who's not resilient. They don't have a growth mindset. They might look like they have everything going on for them and everything figured out. But as soon as they hit an obstacle or a roadblock, they're going to crack. So say you go up on top of this lodge, this awesome facility here, and you were to drop that egg, and the ground represents a hard surface. It represents the ground is a hard surface, but it represents a obstacle or challenge that you might be facing. So say you drop the egg, what do we expect it to do when it hits the ground? It's going to crack and break into 100 pieces, right? Then, say you have a tennis ball. So the tennis ball represents a resilient individual. Looks really good from the outside looking in, perfectly round. But the tennis ball is a resilient individual, somebody who's on a growth trajectory in their life, loves personal development, but has the opportunity, this individual is somebody who reframes the challenges that are hitting them, reframes them as opportunities to learn and grow from. So say you get up on top of the lodge here and you drop the tennis ball. What do we expect it to do? Bounce back, right? It has the same ground, the same obstacle, the same hard surface that the egg had, but I would take it one step further with the bounce. If you were to actually zoom in on this tennis ball with a video and took a slow-mo kind of replay of the point of impact, you'll actually see that the ball itself kind of remorphs itself to better accept that ground, that hard surface. So not only is it bouncing back, which is resiliency, but it's actually thriving with that challenge because it's remorphing itself, and on the other side of that challenge, that point of impact, it's a better, newer version of itself. So just kind of some food for thought to think of. Are you somebody who can bounce back? Obviously, awesome to be resilient, but do you actually look forward to the challenges, knowing on the other side of that, there's opportunity for growth and the better version of yourself on the other side of that? So I mentioned I'm huge on providing. I want to provide 6 tools that I practice daily. And I've been asked, what do you mean by daily? I mean daily. These are tools that I practice in my everyday life that I want to share. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of different tools, but these are 6 that have had a huge impact on my life. So the first, we talked about it already, identifying your goals and identifying your why. Everything that you do needs to feed into your why, because it's kind of the litmus test in which everything kind of falls under your why. And then if you can attach your goals to your why, it makes it that much more impactful. So say I'm an avid runner, I want to run in the Boston Marathon someday. Who knows if it's actually going to happen or not, but it is a long-term goal that I have. That's kind of a large goal that I have, and I've got some medium goals and some small goals that feed into that. But running in the Boston feeds into my bigger why of serving and adding value to others, because I know when I'm prioritizing fitness in my everyday life, I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, I'm able to serve at a higher level. And so I've got goals that basically feed into that why, so super important. The second is visualization and breathing. You mentioned you're a hunter, so trigger squeeze, when you think about timing your trigger breath with hunting and your breath with the trigger squeeze, that's deliberate breathing. But if you can pair that with the visualization, visualizing the things that you want in life, it's immensely powerful. So there's research that suggests that our minds do not know the difference between what we have actually done and what we've just repetitively thought of over and over. Just think about that for a minute. Our minds don't know the difference between, hey, I've actually done this thing, or I've just thought about it over and over again. So this afternoon, I actually was visualizing what you guys would look like, how the talk would go. Obviously, things don't always go as planned, but I spent 30 minutes today kind of visualizing what I'm going to do, speaking. That way, my mind has already been here. I haven't been here before, but my mind had already been here earlier today because I sat and visualized and I did some deliberate breathing. So those are hugely powerful, free tools that you can do on a daily basis, if not multiple times. Practice of gratitude, again, our minds cannot be grateful and thankful and also be stressed at the same time. It's just not humanly possible. So I wake up every day and I think of 3 to 5 things that I'm thankful and grateful for. It can be small things like, hey, I'm thankful for our pour-over coffee in the morning. I did not have that at basic training, so I came back. The best cup of coffee I ever had was at the airport in Columbia, South Carolina. Probably was terrible airport coffee, but it was the best coffee I had ever had because I hadn't had coffee for 4 months. So little things like that, if you can be grateful and thankful for those small things, your mind will actually start to hunt for the things that may be bigger throughout the rest of your day, because it kind of primes your mind to kind of hunt the good stuff, if you will. Writing your frustrations down, but not actually acting on them. This is one of my favorites. So I'm a humongous Abraham Lincoln fan. Any Abe Lincoln fans in the crowd? Yeah. I heard Teddy Roosevelt in here, so yeah, he's great too. But Abraham Lincoln had a really kind of a famous practice later in life that if he was stressed or worried or had some kind of an issue with a general or a member of his cabinet or a constituent, before he would even have a conversation with them, he would sit at his desk and he would write out kind of his thoughts, whether it was in a note form or he just got the negativity, he got the kind of the negative thoughts out of his head, wrote it on paper, and then filed it in his desk and never would send it. And what that did was it got the negativity of it out of his head, it got the frustration, and he could kind of think about, hey, here's how the conversation should probably go, rather than being stressed and angry at this, whoever the individual was. I remember back several years ago, we have a lot of old equipment at our ranch. I am not mechanically inclined. My dad is. He did mechanical engineering at K-State. Mechanics just over my head. But we had this, still have it, but we had this tractor at the time that would overheat about 20, 25 minutes of use. We couldn't figure out what the heck was wrong with it. And I love rotary mowing pasture. And so for those of you who don't know, rotary mowing pasture in the summertime is basically kind of clipping the tops of the pasture. It's good for cattle, helps with their eyes, with their health, and they more effectively graze the pasture when you rotary mow. And it's one of my favorite things to do on the ranch, and I remember having a full afternoon to be able to do that. And I got on the tractor, and the dang thing overheated 25 minutes in, and I was so angry I could have just kicked the thing. And so I wanted to basically tell off my dad, let's sell this piece of junk, or why can't you just fix this? And I thought, you know what, let me write out this text to him. I don't know if I want to send it or not, but I'm gonna just give it to him on this text. And I paused before I sent it. I thought of what Abraham Lincoln did. Hopefully he doesn't do it anymore. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go run back from the pasture back home. I'll get some frustration out with that, but I'm going to draft this message. Let me not send it quite yet. Let me go run first. And so when I got back to the house, I decided not to send that note, and I'm definitely glad that I didn't, because Dad had his own problems that day in the hayfield with some tractor issues. And so what that practice did was it got the negativity, it got the stress out of my head. It got it written down and got it just out of my head. So then I could have a better, more kind of civil conversation with Dad. So huge, powerful tool in writing things down but not actually acting on them. Facing your fears, this one is tough, especially with my coaching clients. It's one of the most important things that we can do is to face our fears. But it's also hard to get somebody to actually do it. Of all of these tools, it's probably definitely one of the harder ones. I think oftentimes fears are just the kind of the constructs of our own mind. Oftentimes we make the things in our mind so much more worse than they're actually ever going to happen. We kind of think of worst case scenarios, or our thoughts just kind of negatively spiral. But if you can face your fears and do the things that you don't want to, there is so much confidence that you gain from that experience. I think back to officer candidate school in the Guard. We had this obstacle course, and I am not a fan of heights. Is there anybody that likes heights in here? Okay, you guys are weird. But we had this obstacle course where you had to climb up this telephone pole. There was these metal rungs that led to the top, and then there hadn't have been it was probably a 2 foot by 2 foot wooden platform nailed at the top, and you had to climb up to it and then stand up. This telephone pole was probably 30 foot tall, and it was swaying in the wind. It was a strong Kansas wind that day. And then you had to jump up and out to this bar that hung on a nearby tree, and nobody was getting it. There was probably 30, 40 of us, and nobody was getting it. I was halfway through, and I thought, man, this is the stupidest thing ever. Why am I even in the Guard? I had all these negative spiraling thoughts in that moment, but I thought, you know what? Nobody else is getting it. I might as well try it. I also had to, because we were all being yelled at. We didn't have an option to not do it. But I thought, I'm going to do this and see what happens. And so I climbed one rung at a time, and made it to the top. I still hadn't fallen. And then I somehow stood up. I'm a taller guy, and so it made me really nervous standing at the top while it was swaying. But then I took a deep breath when I stood up and just kind of closed my eyes and just sat in it for a moment. And then opened my eyes and jumped up and out, and I was one of the only ones to get that metal bar on the nearby tree. And so I share that story not to brag, oh, hey, he got the metal bar, who cares? At the end of the day, the confidence that I gained from that experience, it is a notch in my belt. To this day, I go back when I'm stressed, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I'm doing something that I haven't done before. I go back and think, man, I did that. I hated heights. What else can I do? And so it's kind of just another kind of confidence builder, another loop in my belt, so to say. This last one, man, serving others, I wouldn't say one is more important than the other, but man, serving others is a game changer. Again, back to the gratitude, our minds can't be serving somebody or something bigger than ourselves and still be stressed, worried, anxious. I know no one who has gone on a mission trip or served at a soup kitchen or done anything like that and come back stressed. It just doesn't happen. My wife had the opportunity to go to Haiti right before we met about 10 years ago. And to this day, she still remembers that opportunity and just how grateful she is for the little things that we have here in the United States in a developed country. Obviously, you don't have to do something like that. You don't have to be a firefighter, a policeman. You don't have to be in the military. Serving and putting yourself before others can look like holding the door open for somebody at the grocery store. Oftentimes, the few times that my wife lets me go to the grocery store and shop, I think to myself, the cash register probably has the most like surface level conversations all day. Nobody really says hi to them. So just stopping and acknowledging and seeing somebody is an act of service. So active service can be a lot of different forms, and especially in those small forms. I want you to think of one or two stresses that you have and write them on one of the sheets or on one of the side of the sheet of paper that you have. It may or may not be shared at some point, so share as specific of a stress or as little as you would like, but there is the potential that it will be shared here in a minute. All right, good? Okay, so next, I want you guys to fold a paper airplane. And I am judging each one of you on your paper airplane skills here. Okay, so on the count of three, you guys are going to just chuck it somewhere in the room. So from there, and yeah, wherever it goes, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the 10 new owners, open the sheets of paper up and read whatever the stresses are. And on the flip side, or the back side, hey, listen up, guys. On the back side, write down maybe something that I've already shared about as a tool, or utilizing your own experience, your own kind of life experiences. I want you to kind of answer that stress and give some feedback, some advice, something or a tool that you've learned that's been helpful. But basically answer that stress on, hey, you might think about X, Y, and Z. So I'll give you a minute or so to answer those stresses. No man is an island. As a young husband, as a young father, and somebody who's huge into personal development, every day I am going against the grain with almost everything that I do. And I've chosen that path, my wife and I have. But especially living in rural America and rural Kansas, I oftentimes can feel like I'm on an island. And the point of this game, in a brief period of time, is you can see a lot of the same people have the same stresses that you're going through. So you're not alone, you're not on an island, and we're all here to help each other and to help serve each other. So don't be afraid to ask for help. I know we could go so much deeper on this narrative, this kind of stress journey, but don't be afraid to ask for help, and you're not alone. And oftentimes the stresses, the things that you're thinking about and that are top of mind, probably your best friend is going through the same stuff, so don't be afraid to ask for help. And guys, last slide, just a thought that I want to leave you with. I'm a huge fan of the Stoics. It's also called Stoicism, but basically ancient wisdom, ancient philosophy that still very much applies to today in our life. And Seneca was a Stoic and a philosopher in ancient Greece. And he said, we are far more often frightened than hurt. And we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And what that means to me, going back to the facing our fears, Oftentimes we make things so much worse in our minds, and if we just got over the hurdle of facing our fears, we will be at the best version of ourselves. I'm a firm believer that the things that we're fearful of doing, the things that we don't want to do, those are the very things that we need to do to get to the best version of ourselves. I was telling Stephen before, when I met him today, here before the awards banquet, I told him I grew up hating public speaking. If you would have told me as a kid or even through college, hey, you're going to be speaking in front of groups, I would have told you were ridiculous. I hated it. I had so much of a fear of public speaking. But the things that we need to do to get to the next version of ourselves are those things that we're fearful of, and the world needs that from you. So guys, I thank you so much for what you're doing with conservation. As a Kansas rancher, it's greatly impactful for me. I have a background in politics as well, and so as somebody boots on the ground actually ranching and who has a kind of a political background, the stuff that you guys are doing is super key, and we appreciate it as farmers and ranchers. So guys, thank you. I hope you have a good rest of your evening, and I would love to connect with you, as many individuals as I can at the reception and get to know you guys a little bit better. But thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being here.